In his free time teaching Tammy and her sisters all he knows about horsemanship and riding. Her grandmother Betty instilled in her the deep values of the ranching life, a reverence for nature and the practical skills ranching families need for their demands in the rural life. She married her husband, Kurt Tate, who was then a rodeo announcer, and followed him into the life of managing a cow camp. Together they've developed innovative, gentle ways of training horses and managing livestock. And during this time, she has raised her children literally in the saddle, carrying them with her on her horseback to work the ranch and turf. These rich experiences, along with growing interest in the benefits of yoga on the equestrian body, have led Tammy to share horsemanship knowledge. Tammy's clinics and demonstrations are designed to bring awareness and mental and physical balance, and above all, improve your horsemanship. Everything you will learn today is designed to gently bring about the inner balance that improves your ability to bond with and communicate with horses. And I understand that today is, I guess, Little Joe, this is his first visit to town, is that right?
This is true.
Okay, and by the end of this seminar, she has promised me that Little Joe's going to be in a meditative state, and if we talk just right, he might get to do the downward dog by the time it's all done. Ladies and gentlemen, Tammy Pate.
Thank you. Actually, that is not far from the truth, what people think. So I do horsemanship and yoga clinics. And all the time I get asked, so how do you get the horses to do down dog or do that? We don't, the horses don't do yoga. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. As my bio said, I was raised in a ranching family. My grandparents actually had a ranch. My dad was a rodeo cowboy. Is this too loud? Rodeo cowboy, he was a steer wrestler. I'm the oldest of 3 girls, and we spent all of our time at my grandparents' ranch. And in my demonstration earlier, we were talking a lot about confidence. And to me, a successful equestrian is someone who's confident. I think anyone can be an equestrian, but there's something about confidence that is an integral part of it. So I was raised on a ranch, got put on horses when we were tiny. We never knew we couldn't ride. And we were just raised knowing that there were tasks and that we could do them. I think that there is a difference, truly. I'm gonna back up. You can have a great relationship with your horse, you can have a great ride, you can have fun, and not know a thing about horsemanship. And you know what? That's okay. If you choose to follow a path and study and become a true horseman, knowledge is required, and commitment and dedication. But when you think about it, the two types of riders, the 2 people. When I was growing up, we got, like I said, we just got put on horses and off we went. I was fortunate enough to have, my dad bought me an old campaigner barrel horse. He'd been there, done that. He taught me everything there was to know. I rode him in a mechanical hackamore and won literally everything. And do you know, I did not know really what a lead was. I was never taught that. We just got on a road, we had feel. I knew when my horse was going into the arena and he felt right, but I didn't understand leads. I didn't understand horsemanship. I didn't understand what a soft feel was. But I had confidence. And I think that that is a very important thing that we need to take a look at. I always tell people that come to clinics, ride like a kid. If more of us would just ride like a kid, we would put less pressure on our horses, we would ask less of them, the horse would probably be in a better frame of mind, and we would have more fun. and that's not to say that we don't want knowledge and we don't want to work at things, but having that carefree spirit. So from the ranch and growing up on the ranch, Kurt and I got married, and he was a rodeo announcer. He had been a bareback rider and bull rider, so he had very good balance and a lot of confidence. And we actually went, Buck Brandon was here earlier, and that was the first horsemanship clinic we went to, and I will say that was 19 and a half years ago, because our daughter, WESA, just turned 19, and I was pregnant with her when we went. And that was our introduction into this style of what people are calling natural horsemanship. About 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, I guess, I started practicing yoga. And I came to a yoga practice from a pretty vain part of me. I wanted to look a certain way. And so I found yoga and wanted to start practicing yoga to get fit and look a certain way. And what I found is that yoga is not about the poses and about the fitness part, although that is a benefit of yoga. It's about a way of being. And the word yoga means to yoke or unite the physical, mental, and spiritual states of being. And as I started practicing yoga, it was horsemanship. It's exactly horsemanship. It is finding consciousness. It is being aware of mental balance, physical balance. It is uniting with another living, breathing being. It is finding partnership. And it really, I was just inspired. So I started practicing yoga. Kurt was doing horsemanship clinics. And then his true love is cattle. So he kind of transitioned out of the horse world and more into the cattle world. And so I started doing clinics and sharing yoga and horsemanship. I want to say right off the bat, and I said this earlier, so if any of you were here earlier, it is a repeat, but I am truly honored and humbled to be here. I know for a fact, especially from the shapes of some hats, there's some good horsemen and horsewomen out here. And there's a lot of people who could be in this round pen doing the same thing I'm doing. So I don't take it lightly. And I also don't take it all that serious, because you know what? There are a million ways to work with a horse. My old barrel horse, Friday, I mean, now I practice a style of horsemanship that people are calling like the natural horsemanship movement. I don't really know if that's quite true, because some of the things we see in this natural movement aren't very natural for the horse, if you ask me. But I try to practice a style of horsemanship that is in harmony with the horse. And but growing up, that horse I was talking about, Friday, who actually made me the rider and the person that I believe I am now, I rode with a mechanical hackamore. And he was soft, and I could ride him with a string around his neck. And I competed. I won. And he was safe. And I rode him bareback like a little Indian. So now I would never put a mechanical hackamore on a horse because of the way it works, because of the vice-like mechanical device that it is. But it worked, and I was happy, and my horse was happy. So these ideas that I'm going to share in here are just my path. They're just things that my husband and I have learned and have worked and dedicated our lives to learn more and share, but in no way is it the only way. And even some of the things that Kurt does versus what I do are very different. I am 5'4" and about 118 pounds. Kurt is 6'4" and 220. And if he snaps a halter lead down the rein, it has a little different effect than if I do. He has a different presence than I do. I don't like to get in a fight with a horse. I don't put enough pressure on a horse. So things that work for you, that I'm going to go back just a little bit. When I first started practicing yoga, I looked at the cover of the magazine, and I wanted to look like that. And I thought that that's what it was about. And I think as horsemen, oftentimes we pick up a magazine, and I'm a pleasure rider. I don't compete. I ride because I love it, and we ranch. So everything I do with my horse program, I think about what I need to happen working cattle and doctoring cattle. So I don't want a horse that can't get settled and stand. I want a horse that can stand like this and jump over there, but I don't want a cutting horse. I don't want a horse that's standing in an alley, jigging and pinning his ears back and causing the cattle stress when they come by me. I want something totally different. So when I look at the cover of Western Horseman and I read the magazine articles, I have to be really careful that I don't go implement some of those tools that they're teaching when it doesn't work in my world. And I think a lot of us, first of all, we're not honest about what we really want. And then we try to do something that doesn't fit what we do. So that's the first thing I invite, is just think about what you want out of your horsemanship. This morning I shared a story. Again, I think there's horsemen and there are riders. And I had a girlfriend that I rode with when our kids were little, and it was a sight to behold. Her horse's head was on upside down, but she had a deal going with this horse. Her horse loved her. She got from point A to point B. She was safe, and she always had fun. And she was a rider. And there's nothing wrong with that to me. A horseman, on the other hand, is someone who studies and wants to improve horsemanship and communicate with the horse in a way that the horse understands and is soft and willing and wants to be with you. And it wasn't that her horse didn't want to be with her, but she was having fun. She was having a great time, and I think that's great. I don't begrudge anyone of that. I myself want ultimately to think it, and my horse does it. So there are horsemanship tools that can help me attain those goals. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. But, so I'm going to, long story. So I'm going back, Kurt and I got married and we went to Buck's clinic, and it really changed our life. And it actually changed our whole path in life from what we were doing to where we are now. So Buck's not here this afternoon, but I do want to thank him for opening our eyes and to this style of horsemanship. So the tools that can help us become confident are starting to understand really just how a horse works and putting the horse in mental and physical balance. So I alluded a moment ago to the fact that physical maneuvers are not as important to me. I should back up. Fancy physical maneuvers are not as important to me as balance mentally. If you have a horse that you can't get like this, and he's bothered, you might get a turnaround on him, but it won't be pretty. So mental balance is the first thing. And you all know about hooking on, joining up, whatever. All that is, the things that I'm going to talk about here are balance. We want to keep everything that we do in balance. So I want this horse to come to me or hook on with the same amount of energy, draw. When a horse hooks on, all it means is he's ready and willing to come and be with you. His mind is on you. He can look somewhere else, but he can be with you. Now he's not with me. So I'm just going to get in front of him and draw him to me. And he's a good old campaigner. He's gentle. He has a job in life, and that's to take care of Verna. She wanted a horse. This is Roger Allgard from Brighton Saddlery.